Welcome everybody. Today we're starting something new. We're solving equations with variables on both sides. So instead of just one variable on one side, now we're going to have one variable but on both sides of our equation. So when we're solving these equations, it's helpful to move the variable to the side where there are more x's or more variables. So we don't have to, but it helps us a lot to move our other variables over to the side where there are more. So here we have 5x and 8x's. So I have more x's over here, so I'm going to move over my 5x by subtracting it. Now the reason I'm subtracting that is because the 5x is positive. So if this is positive, the opposite is minus. So I'm going to subtract to get rid of those 5x's. Now, I'm not getting rid of them completely. I'm just moving them to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 5x from here as well. So we have 8x minus 5x is going to give us 3x. What we have left on this side is 24. So we just need to solve this for what it is now. Divide by 3. Divide by 3, and x equals 8. Now here it looks to me like I have more p's on this side, but this side is closer to positive numbers. So what I'm going to do, instead of moving this negative 13 over to the other side, I'm going to move this negative 17 over here. So what this is going to be is this is going to be my variable side. The other side of my equation is going to be my constant side. So that's going to be the spot where all of my numbers without variables go. So if I move my negative 17p over to the other side, I'm going to add to get rid of those. So I'm adding 17p onto this side. So now our new equation is going to look like 19. Now we have negative 13 plus 17, so that's going to give us a positive 4p equals whatever we have left over here, which is a negative 5. Now, I said that I'm going to have a variable side and a constant side. So I'm going to move my constants, or my numbers without variables, over to that side. So here I have a positive 19, which means I can subtract it to move. Now if I'm subtracting two negatives, negative 5 minus 19, that's going to give us a negative 24. 4p equals negative 24. Divide by 4. And p equals a negative 6. Okay, here the first thing I see is that we have parentheses. So before we can do anything else, we need to deal with those parentheses. Because I have a number outside, that means I can distribute, so I can give my 6 out to each of those numbers, which means we can draw a box. So we have 6 and 3x minus 4. 6 times 3x gives us 18x. 6 times negative 4 is negative 24. So we have 18x minus 24 equals 12x. Now we said that we should move our x's over to where there are more of them. But if I move this 12x, that leaves nothing on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this 18x. If I move that 18x to this side, now I have something still on both sides. I have a negative 24 equals a negative 6x. I'm going to divide by negative 6, divide by negative 6. X is now going to equal, two negatives is going to be a positive, 24 divided by 6 is 4. Now it doesn't matter which one you move over. So you can move the 12 over if you wanted to, you'd still get the same answer. It's just going to mean more work for you because there's going to be an extra step. Here again I see parentheses with an 8 out front. So I'm going to distribute that 8. So we get 6y minus 18 equals, if I draw my box here, we have 8 and y minus 5. So 8 times y is 8y. 8 times negative 5 is negative 40. So we have 6y minus 18 equals 8y minus 40. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this side my variable side, because now it makes sense to move the numbers or the variables over to where there's more. Make this my constant side. So I'm going to subtract 6y to move that over. (8y minus 6y) gives me 2y minus 40 equals negative 18. Now I'm going to move my constants over to our constant side by adding 40. The opposite of negative is to add. So we get 2y equals negative 18 plus 40, which gives us a 22, positive 22. Last step, divide by 2. Y equals 11. Okay, for this problem, I'm going to move my 2m over to the other side by adding 2m. So this will be my variable side, and this will be my constant side. So we get 9m equals 36. Divide by 9, divide by 9, and m equals 36 divided by 9, which is 4. Here again, we have to distribute first. So 5 times x minus 5. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. So we have 5 plus x equals 5x minus 25. So I'm going to move my x's over to where there's more. I'm going to subtract 1x from both sides. So this is my variable side, and this is my constant side this time. 5x minus 1x is going to give us 4x minus 25 equals 5. I'm going to move this over to the constant side by adding 25. So we get 4x equals 30. Now if I divide by 4, something happens. I can't divide 30 by 4, but what I can do is I can simplify it. So I can take 2 out of both of these. So if I take 2, if I divide 30 by 2, I get 15. And if I divide 4 by 2, I get 2. So 15 over 2 is about the smallest that we're going to get. So I'm just going to leave it like that, 15 over 2. Here I'm going to move it over, my k over to where I have more of them. So I'm going to subtract 1k from both sides. (3k minus 1k gives us 2k minus 1 equals 1. Add 1 both sides. So we get 2k equals 2. Divide by 2, divide by 2, k equals 1. Alright, so this one says, currently you have $80 and your sister has $145. You decide to save $6 of your allowance each week, while your sister decides to spend her whole allowance plus $7 each week. So, what you are going to have then to set up this problem, you currently have $80. You are going to add each week $6 because you're saving $6 of your allowance. Each week we're going to put a W there, so every time a week goes up, your money that you saved goes up. For your sister, she has $145, but she decides to spend her $7 every week. So she's spending her whole allowance plus $7 each week. So what we're going to have to do then is we're going to have to figure this out with our two W's on either side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this my variable side and this my constant side, which means I'm going to add 7W to both sides. On this side I get 145 equals 13W plus 80. I'm going to subtract 80 from both sides. So we get 13W equals 145 minus 80. That gives us 65. So 13W equals 65. The last step is to divide 13 by 65, and we get W equals 5. Now remember, our W stood for weeks, so our 5 is going to be 5 weeks. So after you save for 5 weeks, and your sister's spending money for 5 weeks, you'll have the same amount of money for the both of you.